camera died. One day I will organise myself to actually delete the memory card, or like, you know, clear the memory card before I start filming. But hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been absolutely ages since I did a sit down video. I'm going to do my 2021 favourites, and I'm just going to kind of do it as like a life favourites. So there's going to be some horsey stuff in there and kind of some books, podcasts, whatever else I kind of just have loved throughout 2021. So yeah, I'll just get started. I don't actually have a lot of the items with me because some of them are at the yard, you know, and I just don't have them with me, and I just thought it would be kind of too much to organise trying to get them all here. And as well as that, they're not looking the best because a lot of things I've really truly loved, and they're you know, they're a bit worse for wear. So I'll just kind of insert kind of clips of like, or photos of what they, either me using them or else the kind of stock photos, so you can know, have a reference point. Some of them are unrecognisable from their original condition. So the first thing I absolutely loved, and this is probably my holy grail equestrian product, and it is the Acapello Gel Out Seat Saver. I got this, I probably didn't actually get it in 2021, I probably got it towards the end of 2020, and it was just such a game changer for me. It just gives me so much security. It makes my saddle was quite slippy. It's a good fit on Ruby and it's a good saddle, it fits me well, but it was just slippy, the actual seat of it. So I kind of found I was moving around a lot, and it yeah, it just wasn't good. I wasn't very secure, and this just gave me like such security. It also meant that I could wear, I wasn't like limited to like wearing jodhpurs that have the, you know, sticky bum on them, although I still do love them. But it meant that if I saw like a nice pair on sale and they only had like the knee grips on them, I would be like, okay, I can still get them because I have this like extra grip on my saddle. Whereas before, if I didn't turn up in anything, before I got this, if I didn't have a sticky bum on me, I just could barely ride. Like I definitely couldn't sit a canter, and I'd just be kind of bouncing around all over the saddle, or slipping around all over the saddle. Someone actually told me it's like an ice rink once. So that is my, like, probably my favourite product I've ever bought. I can't even remember the price of it now. I think maybe it was like €100 or something, but I have two saddles actually, so I usually swap. I only have one Gel Out Seat Saver, so I usually swap between the two depending on which one I'm using, but I'm actually thinking I'm going to buy a second one. It's phenomenal. I think it's really, and I think it would be great for if you're learning to ride, even just learning to sit the canter. I think that's actually would just give you that much more security, and it means your core probably doesn't have to do as much work, although you still do need to use your core. Second one is Toggi Boots, and specifically I have these little jodhpur boots. I actually think the ones I have, the like exact model, might be discontinued, but I have two pairs and I've just never had problems with either of them, so I think, you know, I would recommend Toggi Boots as in general. But I have these little jodhpur boots, and lived in them like the whole summer. I even sometimes wear them just walking the dog. I've worn them like to go walking in. Like, I'm actually nearly think they're comfier than my hiking boots. They're just like, I don't know, they're just moulded to the shape of my feet, and it's just like, as soon as I put them on, I'm just like, oh, they're just so nice. And I've also got the Calgary boots, which are taller, and yeah, they're great. They're like, they wouldn't be like, they're obviously not a competition boot, but they're a great like everyday mucking out riding, like kind of everyday riding, hacking, just like really good. And they're good winter boot as well. They're very like sturdy, tough, and you can put like kind of thick socks on underneath them. So yeah, highly recommend the Toggi boots. I like haven't anything bad to say about them. And yeah, like I've had mine, you know, the ones I got, and I wore them like all constantly since the summertime. Like, they don't look there's not really much signs of wear and tear. Like, you can tell they've been worn, but they're not like falling apart. And same with my Calgary boots. I probably have them close to, I'd say nearly 18 months by now, and I've loved them all throughout 2021. The next thing is my Horseware long technical coat. Actually, I think I got this like this time last year. I got it for Christmas last year, and it was yeah, I think I did. I think it was in a haul that I did last year, And I just like, I think it was probably on the pricier side, maybe like the 200 mark, 250. But to me it's just been so worth it, because I've just, in the winter time, the kind of, you know, the kind of unpleasant months where it's like rainy and, you know, windy and you just don't know what you're going to get, like it's been phenomenal. Like it's just like, it's like wearing a duvet with sleeves is how I would describe it. And it's great because you can ride in it because it has those slits at the side. And it's just so cozy. It has material that comes out and you have like a thumb hole, which keeps your hands warm, because I'm like, I cannot keep track of gloves for love nor money. Yeah, and it's really, really nice. It's like, unless it's very cold, I would rarely ride in it. But I do ride in it sometimes, but mostly I just kind of, because it's like kind of, I got it like in a bigger size, I can wear like layers underneath it. And then I'll wear that kind of around the yard, like, you know, if I'm going to catch a ruby or if I'm feeding her or mucking out or whatever. And then when I get on to ride, I usually take it off and then like just leave it there like while I ride and put it back on afterwards. And it's just, I don't know, I just love it. Like it's one of those things you just put it on, you're like, oh, this is like it's a nice coat, like the Toggi Boots. It's just like a nice piece of clothing, and it just feels like a duvet every time you put it on. Next thing is an item for Ruby, and it is the Weatherbeeta Comfy Tech rugs. So Ruby has a panda one that she got, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago now, and I don't think it was that expensive. Like I think there's Horseware ones that are much more expensive. So I think kind of for the price, I would say I paid maybe like 90, 100 euros for it, max. And it's a panda print. And yeah, it's like, this is her third winter with it on, and it looks like good as new. Obviously she's been wearing it, so it's mucked up a bit, but like when I got it dry cleaned there a few weeks ago, it looked like perfect. It was, you know, pristine again. There's no rips in it, no kind of holes in it, no signs of wear and tear. The buckles, everything's like working in perfect working order. It's a good like kind of, it's 200 grams, so it's a good kind of, you know, it's a good medium weight turnout rug. And yeah, I think it's just lasted really well. Like it's been 3 years, 3 winters. I love the fact that it has the panda print on it, because apart from being really cute, it means if you're on a yard and it just doesn't get mixed up with anyone else's, it's always definitely, you know, your rug. And it also makes your horse kind of easy to identify as well. Like if you have to explain which one it is to anyone else, it's like, yeah, the one with the panda rug. Yeah, and it's a hit every winter. I get it out, and it's just a hit. Like everyone's always like, oh, that's so cute. And I think it's just nice to, you know, winter's kind of hard enough, so I think if you can add a bit more joy in with a panda print rug, then why not? And then moving on to books. I read a lot of books in 2021. And of course they're out of reach, so I'm going to have to hoosh over and get them. 1 second. 2021, I think, well, towards the end of 2020, I kind of went on this kind of personal development train. I think it was, I can't remember when it started. I think I read like You Are a Badass, and that kind of kicked me off on this kind of like going down this kind of rabbit hole of personal development and self-improvement. And I'm just like, I just love it. I love the idea that you can change your mindset and change your thinking patterns and like have kind of improve your life basically based on that. So 2 of the books I read that are kind of in this realm, well, they're all actually in this realm, but these are the ones that I really enjoyed. So the first one is The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And this was a really super interesting read. I do have a science background now. I have like a biomedical science degree, so I do think it is accessible, and I really enjoyed his writing style. It was very humorous and very kind of plain speaking, but he basically has done like a lot of kind of groundbreaking research on trauma and how trauma affects people. And what I really learned from reading this book is, obviously he's kind of doing his research on PTSD, but I really learned about like kind of the actual feelings in the body and the sensations, and like I just had never thought about that before. Like I always knew like, oh, you know, I feel anxious or I feel worried or I feel sick to my stomach. But I actually never kind of, you know, spoke about or thought about the sensations that you feel in your body, like, in depth. And a lot of what he's kind of saying is like that these kind of, you know, these alarm bells are like actually stored in your body, and like the logical part of your brain that, or the kind of the, you know, the prefrontal cortex part that like kind of does the analysing and the logic behind like, oh, there's no need to be having a panic attack right now, you're fine, that doesn't actually, you know, come into play with a lot. Yeah, like basically I can't remember what exactly I was saying, but basically it just kind of gives you a new perspective on actually the sensations and how your brain isn't capable of, or your brain is capable of kind of, you know, deciphering the logic behind a situation, but it doesn't necessarily have any effect on actually kind of ridding those feelings that you're feeling in your body, and how basically your body has like its own kind of storage system of all the kind of experiences you've had in your life. So that's basically it, the body keeps a score. And it's kind of, PTSD is sort of nearly like that feeling of safety, that kind of visceral feeling of safety is not there. And so it's more like a sensory thing as opposed to kind of something that you can, you know, bat away with a bit of logic in your mind. I have not explained that to the justice that it deserves, but it was just an absolutely phenomenal read. I read it a while ago now, but it is definitely something I will revisit because there's just so much good information in there. And yeah, just like it's really, really interesting. So if you have any kind of interest in that, I would highly recommend this book. It was probably one of the books I learned the most from in 2021. This one is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I really, really like this. Again, he's kind of talking about the sort of three brains, the kind of the reptilian brain, that kind of I can't remember what the subconscious brain, the, you know, what's it called? You know, the kind of childish emotional brain, and then the kind of obviously your prefrontal cortex, which is sort of like the, you know, the control system of the whole thing. And again, he's just kind of talking about like how if you want different results in your life, you have to become a different person. Like you cannot just continue the same way and expect to achieve different results in your life. You have to kind of actually, you know, become a different person. And he's kind of talking about like breaking that kind of temporal barrier that we have in our head of like, you know, like look at how you want to be in the future and start acting like them, like start thinking like they would think. And yeah, like it's very kind of, he's talking about kind of like how our mind is basically nearly like a quantum field, and some of it is like it's just very, very interesting. It's a really interesting read, and just kind of how you can change your life basically, and just kind of your brain is always going to look to the past to repeat more of the past because it's a protective mechanism that your brain at the end of the day wants to keep you alive, and everything it has done until this point has kept you alive. So your brain is going to be like, okay, we'll look to the past and we'll repeat more of the past because that keeps us safe. But actually, if you want, by doing that, you're just going to create more of the same. So by like, you know, looking at what you want in the future and being like, okay, you know, I need to take action, like, you know, deliberate, intentional action to get there. I need to start thinking like they would think. I need to, you know, and actually change your thought patterns. And then as a result of that, like eventually change your life. Again, I'm not explaining this to the, you know, to the justice that it deserves. Like it is, a lot of it, the ideas in it are quite big and quite like, you know, intense, but it definitely is worth the read. I definitely think it's a very interesting book, and it's definitely one to read maybe at the start of the year if you're actually trying to kind of implement a change or you want to really like make a drastic change to your life. I think it's a really good one to read. So obviously I am trying to put my big girl pants on and organise my finances a bit better. Obviously, well, I'm not going to say a bit better. I've been very good at it like so far, considering I have a horse and everything. Like I've always managed my money quite well, but I just want to kind of up my game a little bit. Like I always think there's room for improvement. So the the first book I read, and it's really, really great, and unfortunately Ollie got his paws on it and has destroyed it. So it is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm obviously going to buy a new copy of this. I had read it before he chewed it and thought it was a chew toy, but it's by Robert T. Kiyosaki. And I don't know, at the front page it says, what the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class do not. And it's funny, like, reading this, I was like, oh god, yeah, like some of the stuff that he's like, oh, the middle class like teach their kids, it's like, yeah, that's definitely stuff I've been taught. And basically, like, I actually did accounting exams, and I would have learned about kind of accounting, you know, like obviously accounting for companies and stuff, but not so much personal finance. And this, I think, is like, if you want to start like learning about personal finance, this is definitely the starting point. It's very basic. There's lots of like useful diagrams in it. I can't show you because like it's falling apart, but basically one of the main kind of takeaways I took from this is to try and buy, instead of like with my income, to try and buy assets that will generate more income, as opposed to, you know, buying a house, which is never going to generate income. Like, you know, he's kind of, the kind of main takeaway I took from this is to kind of buy assets that will actually generate income, and like kind of from that is to just buy assets that will actually generate income. Book I read in 2021 that I really loved is Mindful Money, and this is actually by an Irish author. I think she's actually a Kildare lady as well. So I just found this a really great book. Because obviously I was trying to kind of get better with finances in 2021 and kind of look long term about how I want to spend my money, I started kind of reading a lot of personal finance books, and some of them had great ideas, and like some of them have ideas that are in here, but I just found this very relatable because it's kind of coming from a woman's perspective, and she talks about like having kids and, you know, like how to basically manage your money mindfully, while also kind of being a good mom and all that. And obviously I'm not a mom, but like, you know, it's just a different kind of take on the whole, you know, the whole kind of personal finance thing. So yeah, she kind of has ideas similar to like Rich Dad Poor Dad, of like pay yourself first. And one of the concepts I really took from this book, which I really actually liked, is no spend days. And I actually see on her Instagram stories she has this kind of little calendar, and she does like kind of like she ticks off kind of no spend days, and it's really interesting. It's like actually makes it kind of nearly a fun way to sort of challenge yourself to be like, okay, I'm not going to bar the basics like food, water, rent or whatever, like I'm not going to spend any money on, you know, Wednesdays, Thursdays, or when, I don't know, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, because they're kind of easy days to, they're like when you're sort of in your routine, your work, and then towards the end of the week it gets a bit lax. But yeah, just like really useful kind of tips, great for kind of saving or just kind of taking back control. If you always sort of feel like you're kind of, I don't know, it's just that like money runs you as opposed to you running money, do you know, that kind of way, that you're like constantly like looking in your account and being like, where's my money gone, or like, and it's because you're not really mindfully spending, you're just sort of spending almost on autopilot, and you're not actually kind of really thinking about your purchases. So this is a great way to kind of make you more aware, and lots of really useful tips in it. And I'd really recommend this to anyone. Though Rich Dad Poor Dad and this one are very accessible and very easy to read, and yeah, just great useful tips for anyone kind of looking to sort of take a bit more control over their personal finances. So then in terms of audiobooks, I've been actually re-listening to, and I listened to these last Christmas, but I love something about Jen Sincero. So it's You Are a Badass and You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. I love Jen. She just sort of feels like this, she just sort of sounds like the kind of lady I'd love to just kind of sit down with over a glass of wine, and I just think you'd have good fun with her. Like, she's just very relatable, very funny, and just not, yeah, would highly recommend Jen Sincero's audiobooks if you're just looking for something to chill out to over your time off, or if you're, you know, have a commute or a drive to listen to then, because it's just yeah, it's really relaxing, and you just, yeah, she's a font of wisdom, and just you'll learn, you can take away so much, but it's just in a nice way. It's just, you don't feel like you're actually, it just feels easy, you know. So then the only last thing I can kind of favourites category I can probably think to do is probably hikes, and for this one I would definitely say oh god, I can't even say it right, Tonelagee, with the view of Lough Ouler. I'll insert pictures here. It is a really tough hike up that mountain. It is quite, I think it's the second highest peak in the Wicklow mountains, and I'm obviously not very fit, so it was, yeah, I remember it just being very, very tough. I think it was in summertime as well, so it was like muggy as well, but the view is just unreal. It's just gorgeous. It's like kind of, and you get there and it's just, even like the lake obviously itself is beautiful, but then like the whole surrounding is just stunning, and you're just kind of like, you just feel very small, but in a great way when you get there. So yeah, I would really recommend, if anyone's in Ireland or, you know, thinking about going up to Wicklow to do a few of the hikes, I would definitely recommend that one. If you've got like a decent level of fitness, it's definitely worth doing. So yeah, that's all my favourites for 2021. I'm very excited for the new year, and I just think it's going to be a great year. I think like just, yeah, I just always think the best is yet to come, and I'm just so grateful for everything that I have had during 2021 and all the great experiences and the sad experiences too. I just think, yeah, I'm going into 2021 or 2022 optimistic and excited about the future. So I hope to make more videos, and I hope I'll be seeing you more. Please, if you enjoy, subscribe. I'm hoping to kind of make more vlogs and stuff. And yeah, I'll chat to you in my next one. Bye guys.